So I can't seem to get over the death of Chester Bennington. It almost feels like a brother or this really close friend that you had who you lost touch with but still have mad love for is now no more. Um, I remember when Chris Cornell passed away, I was really sad and I felt even more bad for his wife. And then, of course, TMZ, which should be renamed TMI because they have absolutely no respect for boundaries. They had posted these pictures of, the place where he died, and it was just so graphic. Anyway, do I consider myself a Linkin Park fan? Hell yeah. I mean, kids of the 2000s, in school and in college, LP was our jam. Even the Transformers movies, when they were cool once upon a time, Linkin Park had done music for them. I was well aware of Linkin Park's new album. I had listened to a couple of songs. Was I a fan of their sound? No, I was one of the people who said, what's happened to them? Why are they going, pop? And then Mike Shinoda explained that, as artists, they are exploring and everything. And I respected that. I thought that that was pretty cool and that was nice. Now that I've gone back and listened to the same album, I could probably have a bit of a breakdown. I mean, somebody on YouTube had even commented that, police didn't find any suicide note. That's because One More Light, which is Linkin Park's latest album, was Chester's suicide note, and that is just beyond heartbreaking. It is uh, really, really sad. And I think like a lot of artists, there are a lot of artists out there who have a lot of mental issues that they are going through, and somehow an artist uses their mental illness, whether it is depression or something else, to somehow put it out there in an artistic way. They basically turn that ugliness into something beautiful for posterity, and I'm so happy that Linkin Park music will live on. The late Carrie Fisher, who played the role of Princess Leia in Star Wars, she said something so beautiful, which was, take your broken heart and turn it into art. And I think that in every way, Chester Bennington did that. And I don't know what he probably went through when their album came out and heavy and everything, and people had such demeaning things to say, and if he took it on a personal level, because let me tell you something about depression or mental illness, especially when you've gone through life where everything bad that has happened in some way, or in childhood you always victimized, you always felt that everything bad was somehow made to be your fault, that you caused it to happen, and that's why it occurred because of you. And whether he went through this and internalized it, and worst of all, personalized it. Let me just say over here that whatever you're going through, whether it's mental illness, physical illness, or whatever it is, don't personalize it, because it's not who you are. It's not your true self. It is something that you are going through because you are alive and on this earth, and it is somehow, in some twisted way, a part of life. So please don't personalize anything, especially mental illness that you may be going through. Uh, just don't do it. Now, I just want to go through something about depression, which Chester has suffered through. I myself have gone through depression for years. Now, I don't want to make this video about me and say, oh, anything. I will do that in a later video to talk about it more in depth later on. But at the moment, I just want to talk about depression and how it could have affected Chester Bennington. Um, Depression, one of the main things about depression is that it is something that even functioning people who are great achievers in life, who go through the motions of life, experience. And depression is like one day you get up and you're feeling so fucking fantastic. It's like you can take on the world, you feel like a warrior. You see the beauty of nature, and everything, and it's just beautiful, and you feel like you can conquer anything and everything that happens through life. And then there are some days where you can't even get out of bed. You dread even opening your eyes in the morning. You're unable to function. You just feel like the weight of the world is on your fucking frail shoulders. And it's just crippling. It's physically crippling what you feel mentally. And, people say, like, what made him take this drastic step? Another thing about depression that a lot of people go through is that when there is something that triggers that emotion, there's like a trigger that you go through, and you know, it's a small thing. It's something that a person would be able to get over usually, but for you, it's like a trigger that brings back the emotions, the memories, the feelings of past events that have happened that you thought that you could get through, that you've gotten through, that you felt like you've forgiven and forgotten, and it comes all down on you like a landslide, and it is just something that it becomes unbearable. And one thing about depression is like, emotionally, you want to breathe, so physically you choke yourself. Emotionally, you want to heal, so physically you cut yourself or you harm yourself in other ways. There's no psychological backing to what I just said, but experiencing it myself, I know technically what can happen and usually happens to people. It's something that, is so difficult because it's not something physical that you have. Like when you have a cancer, you can get a scan and find out what's wrong with it, and then that's the end of it. But when there's a mental illness, how do you know what you are going through? Only you know that you are going through it. um, Now I just want to not compare but give you an example. Now, you know people who commit suicide, including uh, Chester, no normal person gets up any day and says, hey, for fucking cheap thrills, I'm gonna kill myself, click, click, boom. Nobody fucking does that. There is something that makes them do that. And I'm comparing it now to something like, let's say, Parkinson's disease. It's a physical disease. No normal person, again, shakes their body uncontrollably. Nobody does that. And yet, when you have Parkinson's, your body begins to shake uncontrollably. It's not you who's doing that to yourself. It's the disease that's making you do it. In the same way, it is your mental disease and your illness that is, again, not who you truly are, that makes you do certain actions, and, which end up being fatal. Absolutely, sadly, and unfortunately, that is what happens. That is the truth of it. And it's something that cannot be physically diagnosed. It's something that is mental, that people go through for years. And it's absolutely sad that this had to happen. And worst of all, I think, of anything and everything is, after this happened, I found out about this actually on metal injection. I saw it and I was like, I don't want to believe it. It's just. And then I saw, I mean, there were so many reports, and worse than anything else, worse than the fucking media who has gone back into the history of his life, and now I see articles about who his ex wife is and who his wife is, and who gives a fuck. But people do that. And worst of all, than the absolutely shameless media is people commenting over there that, oh, he had 6 children, I mean, how selfish can he be, and making fucking jokes about the situation. Here's the thing, you can never actually walk in other people's shoes. And worse still, you can't even hope to be in somebody else's mind. That is their mind, that is what they're going through. You don't know what their thoughts are. I'm sure that in a normal situation, if he didn't have all these external diseases, this external trauma that he went through throughout his life, I'm sure he would never do it. This would be the furthest thing from his mind. But, it happened. And here's the thing, for me personally, I have never been abused sexually in my childhood. So when I hear stories that happened to Chester in his childhood, I can't say that I understand that situation because I fucking don't. I've not been through the same situation. And even for those who have been through that situation and have found a way out of it, each person deals with their trauma, with their brokenness, with their situations in a completely different way than the next person. And you are no fucking body to judge. You cannot judge, and worst of all, you cannot say that you understand a situation that you haven't been in at that moment. What you can do and what you should do as a human being, a basic requirement of humanity, human beingness, or whatever you want to call it, is empathy. You just need to be empathetic to the situation and say, hey, I wasn't there at that time. I don't know what he was going through. I don't know what triggered him to take this extreme, sad step. But hey, I empathize with it instead of putting up demeaning. I mean, respect the dead man, respect him. He has done so much of good in his life. I bet that, on some level, he has been a person who has been there for other people. I'm so sure of it. I'm sure he's helped a lot of people. I watch a lot of interviews of his, and there was only love that came from him. Unfortunately, he didn't seem to have love for himself, and you are nobody to judge. And it just breaks my heart because, um, you know, Chester Bennington, you may have gone, but I just want to say something at this moment. I pledge, in memory of you, I promise that even if it takes 99% of my time, I promise that I am going to be empathetic to other people. I promise that I'm going to listen when people speak. Uh, to digress a little bit, Michael Moore, in his documentary Bowling for Columbine, he had interviewed Marilyn Manson, another great underestimated artist. He had interviewed him because, there were conservatives who were saying that it was because of Marilyn Manson's music that influenced those maniacs to fucking gun down school children. And when Michael Moore asked him, like if you ever had met them, what would you have said to them? And he said, I wouldn't have said anything to them. I would have just listened because nobody ever listened to them. And I know that I'm not a fucking genie. I can't come and cure people's lives. There's barely anything that I can do for anyone else. But what I can do is, and I promise to do this, is listen when people are talking. Just listen to them, listen what they have to say, let them get it out, be more empathetic, be more open to other people. And another thing that I promise to do is that if there are people who have no empathy in them, who are fucking assholes, who want to, you know, say shit about other people, be so demeaning at such a sensitive time, if there are people like that, I swear I'm gonna cut you out of my life. You have no place near me. I don't want to know you. I don't fucking care who you are. If you just don't have that basic humanity within you, I don't want to know you. And I promise to do this for Chester. And now, just to end, uh, down in, I have mentioned my top five favorite songs of Linkin Park for the uninitiated. I know they had a lot of songs, but there are some that just have stayed in my mind all these years, and I'm putting them up. And I miss Chester a lot because he had such a beautiful voice. I was not a die-hard fan of Linkin Park. I'm not going to pretend to be something that I'm not. I wasn't a die-hard fan of theirs. I was a fan of theirs, yes. But more than anything else, it's about the person that he was, and it is so sad that it is so sad. If you listen to one of the songs that I mentioned below, which is called One More Light, uh, I swear to God, it's fucking heartbreaking, and I hope we no longer have any more Chesters. I really hope that there's hope. I mean, speak to me, like message me down, find me on Facebook or something. I promise I will listen to you. let's just be there for one another at this point in time. Let's just like be there for each other, man. Basically, that's all you need to be. Am I don't know why I'm crying. I gotta go now, but thank you for listening. I will be talking more about depression in detail with my personal story in a later video, and you know, I will be talking about a lot of things. I'm always there. I'm sure there's somebody, and if you have suicidal thoughts, you know, if there are people who don't understand your battle that you are going through, find somebody, call somebody up, do something. There's always hope. uh, so bye, love to you, and rest in peace, Chester. I can't believe I'm saying this, but rest in peace, Chester. And yeah, that's all. Thank you.